Hello again, this is Dr. Tony Vercillo, and I'll be your host today for episode 26 of the Ask the Doc Life Lessons You Should Have Been Taught in School podcast. Boy, gang, I have a real good one for you today. What I'm going to talk about is how to ace a job interview. I can tell you definitively from being a CEO, and interviewing perhaps a few hundred people in my day, the art of interviewing is extremely important in terms of getting that dream job of yours. Now, in order to do that, one of the first things you have to understand is what's called the 5 C's of interviewing techniques. Those 5 C's include character, competence, communication, culture, and career. And what that basically means is when you go to an interview, you want to showcase those 5 qualities. What's your character? How well do you communicate both in written and oral form? Will there be a cultural fit? Do you fit into the way they run the company? What about career direction? Are you planning on moving up in the company, looking to get promoted? So the 5 C's becomes very, very important. And again, you need to showcase all 5 of these. All right, let's start with the 4 things you have to be aware of when it comes to interviewing. First, preparation before the interview, the day of the interview, the actual interview itself, and then the post-interview follow-up. Those are the 4 areas that you have to focus on when you're talking about interviewing. All right, so let's start with that. Prior to any interview, the first thing you should do is research the company. If you're not doing that, it's a big disservice. I can't stand when somebody comes into my office for an interview and I ask them if they've done any sort of research on who we are, what we do, that sort of stuff, and they say no, that means they're not prepared. So research the company. Go to their website. Check out press releases that they might have. Go to their social media pages. Google their 3 or 4 top executives on LinkedIn and see who they are and what they are, that sort of thing. So research, including press releases. Number 2, read the job description at least 5 times. In particular, review the summary of skills the employer is requiring. Match your job skills against the requirements by showing the interviewer some of your work. For example, if teamwork is important to the employer, show them examples of how you participated in group exercises or led a team. Heck, it could be also just be something like a Boy Scout leader or leading a football team. It doesn't matter as long as you can showcase some leadership skills. Number 3, call the gatekeeper, either the HR rep or the actual person setting up the interview. Go to their social media pages and do a Google search on the interviewer, and nothing creepy, of course. What you're trying to do is a general check to see if you have anything in common with the interviewer and what he or she likes or dislikes. I once called the administrative assistant of a very senior level executive out in the East Coast, and I asked him, what does he like? What does he dislike? What's in his office? Does he have pictures of his family? Does he have pictures of sports figures? And that gave me a leg up when I went for that particular interview. All right, number 4, prepare at least 5 questions for the interviewer. Questions like, what does the future of the company look like? Is there a formal training program for new hires? Who would I report to? What does a typical career path look like? And let me encourage you up front, do not, again I repeat, do not ask for compensation before you've had a discussion with them. When a younger person comes into my office and the first thing out of their mouth is, what is the pay? I'm disinterested. So the pay comes later. You need to impress. Remember, you have 3 seconds, literally 3 seconds, to give a first impression. Because within 3 seconds, men are already forming their opinion of you. Women, it takes maybe 5 or 6 seconds. But that first impression is so critical. So prepare good questions. Number 5, prior to the interview, practice. As the old joke goes, how do you get to Radio City Music Hall in New York City? Practice. So practice answering the typical questions that get thrown at us during interviews, such as, tell me about yourself. Tell me about a situation where you failed. Tell me about a situation where you succeeded. What is your greatest skill or your superpower? Know how to answer those questions. Go on to Google, type in the top 25 interview questions. They will come up and they will give you suggested answers. Of course, you have to be honest, but that should help you. If need be, use the STAR method for answering questions. What STAR stands for is S is for situation, T is for task, A is for action, and R is for results. And what you're trying to do is frame your important answers in this fashion. So you're literally answering the question in a methodical, organized way. First, here was the situation. This was the task that I was charged with. Here's the action I took, and here's the results from that particular initiative. Do not, again, I repeat, I said this earlier, but let me reiterate, do not prematurely start asking about what are the hours? What's the compensation? Can I work remotely? No, that comes later. It doesn't come during the preliminary session of the interview. That comes after they show interest. So be careful of that. Now, in the secret episode on Patreon, I also cover the 12 top traits more than 500 CEOs stated are most critical for high performers. This was an interview that I did many years ago as a consultant with 500 CEOs. I asked them a very simple question. What skills do you want from your high performers? That's what I uncover in the secret episode. So take a look at it on Patreon, become a member of the Patreon family. That would be fantastic. All right, the day of the interview, you have 3 seconds, as I said, to make a first impression. So dress the part. Literally ask the HR person or the person setting up the interview, what is the dress code? When in doubt, dress conservatively and in business attire. Depending upon the company in question, you may even want to cover up tattoos or piercings. Now, I know that's controversial. I know some people say tough, I'm going to do what I want, and that's fine. But I can assure you that there are conservative employers who don't go for that. So maybe put your best foot forward. Next, never be late. Be on time, be even 15 to 20 minutes early. Nothing worse than a candidate showing up 30 or 40 minutes for an interview. Next, make sure you bring multiple copies of your resume and any work examples that you wish to reveal. If you have impressive references, use them. I've had tons of my students over the last 20 years literally use me as a reference, and sometimes it goes a long way. Okay, next, don't forget a firm handshake and eye contact. I don't know about you, but when somebody doesn't look me in the eyes, I'm automatically suspect of that person. So maintain eye contact, keep a good smile on your face, make sure you issue a firm handshake when you walk in the door. You come into my office and you shake my hand like a dead fish in your hand, forget it. I'm not interested. And finally, during the interview, watch your body language. Don't fidget. Don't shake your legs. Don't tremble your lip. Maintain eye contact. Gesture softly. Do not wildly gesture. Soft gestures. Think about a politician or our presidential candidates and watch how they speak. They all use very firm, very, very firm gestures. So that's actually really important. Watch your body language. Smile throughout the interview and be 100% honest. Show interest. Demonstrate your expertise through your examples and make sure you take a ton of notes because interviewers love when an interviewee is sitting there and taking copious notes. Now, after the interview, what you do is first follow up with the interviewer, send them a thank you note. You'd be surprised how many people do not do that. Next, make sure you complete any homework assignments that they gave you in a very timely fashion. So if they want you to do a personality profile, the DISC profile, the Berkman Grid, or any of those other ones, Myers-Briggs, then do it and do it fast and get back to them to show interest. Next, if there are any questions you feel you missed or fumbled, and the interviewer, send the interviewer an email providing a better answer. Okay, so those are the steps for before the interview, during the interview, and after the interview. One more important thing to note. Make sure you do not have any social media posts that may destroy your interview. I once set up a fabulous interview at Pepsi Cola Company with one of my students. That knucklehead goes to the interview and they had checked his social media, and there was a post of him drunk out of his mind in Las Vegas wearing a Coca-Cola shirt. And of course, they refused to hire him. So be careful. Watch your social media and make sure you edit before you go on any critical interview, especially if it's at a higher level. All right, so that's it for now. Be sure to tune into the secret episode to learn more about the 12 traits you need to be successful. And remember, please subscribe to my YouTube channel whenever you can. And as always, leave me a review, a comment. Tell me what else you'd like to see, what you like, what you dislike, and what else I can do to help you. Now go out and get that dream job of yours. Signing off, this is Dr. V.